So Super Mario RPG is now out on the Nintendo Switch. You can download it from the eShop or pick it up physically as of today. And in this video, I want to share my very early gameplay experience and also make a recommendation on who this game might be for, because whether or not you're somebody who has a ton of nostalgia for this title, as it was originally released back on the SNES in 1996, if you can believe that, or if you're more like me, where you have maybe some limited memories of playing through the game, but you really don't remember what it has to offer, as it's one that I never went back and completed at any time in recent memory or ever completed it to begin with. I want to talk about the very good and bad things that have stuck out to me so far during my gameplay impression, and hopefully come to a consensus on whether or not you should be adding in Super Mario RPG into your Nintendo Switch collection right now. So immediately when you boot up the game, the first thing you will notice is just how bright, colorful, and vibrant everything looks. Nintendo has a way with these Mario games specifically where they just know how to make the colors pop to a whole nother level and things look vibrant and alive. And considering that this sticks really close to the original perspective and how everything unfolds of the original SNES game, I think they did the best possible remake that they could graphically while still honoring the integrity of the original game. We now know that this was made in the Unity engine, and yet somehow, from what I can remember, it still plays very similar to the SNES version that I have very limited memories of. And if you're somebody who does have nostalgia for that version, they have a lot of cool customization options and callbacks, such as the music that you can just simply toggle between the classic version from the SNES or the more modern version. Myself, because I don't remember all of the original Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars songs, I actually have been sticking with the more modern version of the musical tracks so far, and I really enjoy them. I think that it does a good job of putting you in the atmosphere and setting the tone for everything you're seeing unfold. Now, a Mario story is a Mario story, but that is one of the areas that this game really shines. Although I will say, while it is very good in how they set the initial expectations of the story unfolding, Bowser captures Peach, you have to of course go to chase her down, you have to go talk to the Supreme Chancellor Toad, and it's a basic Mario story like you'd expect. The one thing that sticks out on the bad aspect of it is that the game really does feel like it might need voice acting in some way, shape, or form, because you have these really epic drawn out cutscenes where a lot of stuff is going on, and then you realize you're just reading the pop-up text that is showing up on screen. Now, I don't have to have voiceover in all my games, but I think a little bit would go a long way here, kind of like a Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom style, where certain things are voiced but others are not. I think it would have went a really long way if Nintendo just put some voice actors behind this, and considering it's a $60 retail release, which we will be touching on later, I think that would have been a nice addition to have included. When it comes to the combat and controls, this is a very simple and straightforward game. There is elements of strategy to it, but to be totally transparent, I think you could be a brand new gamer for the first time going through this Super Mario RPG game start to finish, likely without any major hurdles in terms of difficulty. It is definitely something that, with the addition of things like Action Command, where you can press A at the perfect time to essentially enhance your attack or block your enemy's attack. I'm not entirely certain that that same exact mechanic was in the original game the way it is in this one, but it's definitely something that helps ease up the tension. You're not really going to be worrying about death all that much, although you will find yourself coming across some larger enemies where you do have to use a little bit more strategy than just going in and pressing the attack button over and over. And while I'm playing on the normal difficulty myself, there is a breezy mode, which I would assume just makes things that much easier if you're maybe a young child or somebody who really just doesn't want any kind of struggle at all in terms of the progression of the gameplay. You can toggle between it in the menu at any given time, which is a welcome addition. I don't know if you maybe unlock a hard mode after you've beaten the story mode in normal, but I will say that I wouldn't mind the game so far, granted I'm still very early on, being just a little bit more difficult in terms of some of the larger enemies that you do end up fighting. At its core though, this game plays like an excellent RPG, and of course you'll have numerous characters to worry about leveling up. Bowser can be on your team, surprisingly enough. There is definitely a satisfying feeling from the more enemies you encounter and you slowly gaining experience with each battle when you see that level up hit, and you get to decide if you want to put it into your hit points, your MP, or into your strength and defense. It's all stuff that's very enjoyable with a Mario aesthetic, and I think there's a reason that this is a timeless RPG that many regard as one of the best ever in the Mario series, or maybe just in these genre of RPGs as a whole. It definitely holds up here, and if you enjoy RPG style gameplay, you will enjoy this combat system and layout for the most part. I think that's a fairly safe statement to say here. It is also nice to have customization over which weapon you want to use, your armor and rings. There is also, of course, a classical item system, RPG style. You can buy items from shops. You will also find plenty of them as you're adventuring through the game, and you have things like a mushroom that are going to actually heal you up. You'll have flower tabs, flower jar, honey syrup, cleansing juice. The list goes on. Each item has its own corresponding thing, and it's really easy to figure out what everything does fairly early on within the game. Not to mention, I'm a big fan of the journal feature within the menu, which will actually show you all of the enemies that you've come across so far, and you can see their drops and their weaknesses and how much XP they give you. So I can see this being a lot of fun for completionists that may want to go through and unlock all of those various different monsters and characters within the game. And so overall, my very early gameplay impressions for Paper Mario is that the $60 price point might seem a little bit high for what Nintendo is giving us with this particular classic, but I will say that especially if you were somebody who has nostalgia for the original, that may be money well spent, and I definitely think that they did a good job breathing new life into this timeless classic, and I'm very excited just in the early portions of the game to actually go through and try to pull off that completionist run and learn more about the story and characters along the way. It's really cool as you continue to add party members into your team and progress and find bigger boss battles, really unique enemy designs, some of which we need to see come back in the Mario universe and other games in my opinion, and we now have one of those long forgotten classics that we couldn't play on Nintendo Switch Online in our hands, available on the Nintendo Switch with a full from the ground up remake slash remaster. So my only one word of caution is if you're somebody who maybe doesn't have any nostalgia for this game, you enjoy Mario games, but you're really not that big into RPGs with that turn-based style mechanic. If you've played a Pokemon game, you kind of know a little bit of what to expect in terms of the pacing, although I would argue this one has a little bit more strategy and options in certain spots. It still very much plays like a simple RPG at the end of the day, and while the story is very engaging so far, there is a chance that if you're just not an RPG fan at the end of the day, that even if you're a big Mario fan, you're not going to enjoy this game. And I do think that at some point in time in the future, we will see Nintendo offer some kind of sale on it, and you may want to wait for that before you do choose to purchase it. Not to mention, at the time of filming, we're right around the corner from Black Friday. We may see a lot of different retailers do something like a buy two get one free, like Target sometimes does this time of year, and maybe you can pick it up on a little bit more of a discount that way, or the voucher program is still a thing for Nintendo Switch Online members, so you can at least get it for $50 instead of $60 if you are planning on purchasing two games at that $100 price point. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, your personal thoughts and opinions on Super Mario RPG. Have you picked it up yet? Are you enjoying it if you are playing through it currently? Are you somebody who has nostalgia for the game, or are you somebody who's kind of experiencing it more or less for the first time with this remade version like I am? And would you personally recommend it at the $60 price point, or do you think it's a game that you should maybe wait for a sale? Or are you somebody who's sitting back on the sidelines and seeing what more reviews look like? Metacritic scores sitting at about an 83 for this game right now. I definitely get it. It's got a lot of good to offer. It's also got some bad considering the full $60 price point. That's really all I can say about it, but let me know if you're just waiting for more reviews to hit, or if you're somebody who's already pulled the trigger on it, and if you are, what do you think of it so far? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before we leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.